Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Helluva Boss, Season 2, Episode 3, X's and Ooze. And that's ooze as in like OOHS. I think it might have a third O, but still. Not ooze as in like TMNT ooze. Anyway, I mentioned in Season 1, I think it was episode 3 actually. It was episode 3 or 4. But I mentioned in season 1 that it might be a good thing I chose to watch this series on my own time rather than react to it because of how I, even off camera, reacted to the Spring Broken episode. Specifically, how I reacted to the likes of Verosica and Milky. Even with the horniest you've seen me on camera, you have never seen me that horny. And this is probably another episode that I would say is an example of why it may be a good thing, because I think if I were reacting, you probably would have seen probably one of the most rageful moments for me. As in, I'm sitting here watching this as I'm downloading the new episode of Ruby. I'm sitting here, like right here, watching this. I had to pause the video, go out of my room, and punch a pillow on the couch, as well as the couch itself, because I was trying to avoid screaming, and I was trying to avoid throwing shit. I'm not even kidding you here. Like, I was that angry. Because here's the thing. I would say that this is at least my favorite episode so far. But I would also say it was the one that elicited the most extreme reaction out of me. And if I were on camera, I don't know how I would have handled it. I don't know if I would have done the same thing, if I would have paused it, got up, and like went to walk around or screamed in a pillow or something, punched a pillow in the couch and everything like I did. I don't know if I would have handled it the same way. Because the thing is, when I'm on camera, I've talked about this before, but I am performing in a way. Even if it's kind of subconscious half the time, I am reacting differently than I react when I'm just watching things on my own. And part of that comes down to I do tend to react bigger on camera than I do in my own time. So I'm kind of like glad that I didn't react to this series, that I'm just doing these reviews, because I'm a little afraid of what I would have done. Again, I state that this is my favorite episode so far because of what it goes into and what the characters do. Also, I'll talk more about it when I get to the spoiler stuff, but the animation had a major uptick. Like, did anyone else notice how much better the animation was? Just, and I'm not just talking about like the really cool scenes. I'm talking about just in general. Like, just the normal, like, constant animation that was playing just during everything. Not even like the uptick you usually see like during a high action scene or something, but it was just so much more fluid, better, more vibrant. It looked so good. But yeah, we are going to get into the spoiler stuff because I can't really talk about much of anything else about this episode without it. So as my non-spoiler thoughts, I really loved this episode, but it also made me rage really hard. Um, and we are going to begin with the spoiler stuff in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of tackle this out of order, and I'm not gonna talk maybe about every single little thing. I'm just gonna cover what I want to cover, but I'm gonna start with the moment, the moment, the scene that made me rage. So, the episode obviously focuses around Moxie a lot and his upbringing in an abusive mafia family and everything. Which, by the way, this episode actually it actually explains a quote, a kind of throwaway quote in the first episode. When Moxie's like complaining about shooting or doing target practice shooting on a picture of a family, he's like, I don't understand why we have to shoot a seemingly innocent, normal everyday family. It's like, and one of the examples he uses as like an alternative is, or if it was like a mafia family, he does like the hand thing, and he's like, that would be understandable, and he says it obviously in a stereotypical mafia accent, and it's like, oh my god, this episode explained that. It explained why he said that, why that would be a understandable reason to kill someone. And it's like, oh my god, that's great. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm getting off track. So the scene deals with a lot of that and with a lot of the abusiveness of his father and everything. But the one specific scene, I believe it's right after Millie goes to find Blitz, who had like gone outside, according to Shark Ass McGee, and so he's kind of left alone there with Chaz, with his father, and then the bodyguards basically. And it's like, or no, I think it's actually before that. No, I think it's the scene. It's before that. I was thinking of that scene because they kind of play out similarly. I think it's at the beginning of the episode. I just watched this. I have a lot going through my head, so excuse me if I get some details a little off, but I think it's the one at the beginning, because there's two parts where Moxie is alone with his father basically there. And I think it's actually the first one earlier in the episode, because I think he is alone with him. I think it's the part where Chaz isn't there too. But the point of the matter is, and everything, he's there with his father and everything, and Crimson starts to show that heavy abusiveness and everything, and you see how meek and kind of like legitimately terrified of his father Moxie is. But you also see like it's the specific moment, like on top of all of this, on top of all the clear foreshadowing that was going on, it's like was obvious kind of where things were going. You see Crimson slap Moxie like a full-on smack, not like a little slap on the cheek, but like really hard across the face smack. My blood boiled when I saw that, and not only because Moxie's my second favorite character, probably, well, okay, maybe not second favorite, but he's up there. Of the main crew, he's my second favorite. Verosika, he's my third favorite because Verosika is before him. It would go Millie, Verosika, then Moxie. So not only because he's my third favorite character that it made me rage. But again, even without showing too much by that point, it was making it very clear the kind of relationship that was there, and it was showing again how timid and meek Moxie was toward his father, and it's like the manipulation, everything was clear as day, the signs of how abusive this relationship was, and it sent me. It sent me into this violent rage that I had I had to take a moment again to leave, to pause it and leave, because I was not okay. And honestly, it probably would have happened no matter who it was shown for. Like, obviously, like when Stolas and Blitz's passed, and seeing how terrible their fathers were, like that obviously bothered me too. But it's like this was like this really hit me hard, and it's like, you guys know at this point, I've talked before in the past my thoughts on and my issues with parental abuse and everything, and it's something that's really really infuriating for me, something that I have a hard time being able to handle seeing, even in something just this silly little show about hell and stuff. It bothers the shit out of me, and to see again such a like physically direct display of it like that. And again, I've been partially, but yes, partially because of my love for Moxie and everything, and also just seeing how Moxie's personality was shaped by this very clearly. And I'll go more into what else led into that, but it, like, I was feeling the rage pretty much as Millie was in this episode, and it's like I was ready to kill someone. I was that angry. If I didn't get up and walk away, I might have thrown my computer. I probably wouldn't have. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I would have been able to stop myself from doing that. But I would have thrown something for sure. I was so furious. So the episode mostly focuses around the fact that Crimson is trying to set Moxie up with his old boyfriend, who is also Millie's ex as well. They find that out. He's a shark. I think he's an imp still, but like a shark-like imp named Chaz. And Chaz is your very stereotypical douche nozzle, like down to the voice, the personality, the idea of him like bragging about having a big dick and shit like that. It's like everything is like just by the numbers, and I like that not much more was put into him, because I feel like that's fitting. He doesn't deserve anything more. But yeah, we find out that he was he was at one time partners with both Millie and Moxie, and this leads into a flashback that shows that after they broke up, because well, technically before they broke up, but what led into their breakup was Moxie and him were on a heist that led to Moxie getting captured because he betrayed Moxie. When Moxie was sent to jail, which apparently hell has prison, that's actually where he met Blitz. We actually see the moment Blitz and Moxie meet for the first time. And it's like, oh shit, this is big. But we see like how all of that really came to be, and even you kind of see how much Moxie values being like employed with Blitz and everything more so than his previous life. Because after he tells this all, he's looking at Blitz and smiling and everything. It's like it's very clear that this is something he's chosen, something that even though he complains about a lot, he wants and he likes. But you also see another flashback sequence in this that was also part of the reason why like it made Crimson so very quickly hateable. We find out that Moxie faced a Zuko situation. And what I mean is Moxie was raised by his abusive father, but also a loving mother. Like Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Moxie's mother was protective of him, went against Crimson's ideals and, you know, mafia boss mentalities and stuff, and was extremely kind and loving to her son. And because of this, Crimson killed her. And obviously in Avatar: The Last Airbender, she was just Zuko's mom was just banished, but yeah, it went a step further here. Like, Crimson killed her to try and teach Moxie a lesson about crossing him. The one positive influence Moxie had growing up was taken from him. And it's like, I mean, this episode didn't only make me rage, but it also made me cry. It's like, that made me cry in Avatar: The Last Airbender, too, to be fair. A lot of Zuko stuff made me cry in Avatar. But yeah, it made me cry here, too, because it's like I felt so genuinely bad. And when Moxie makes it clear that it's like Millie is like the one he chose, the one he wants, and like the perfect partner for him. It's like him standing up for that and siding by her is just beautiful to see. Even though you see throughout the episode he does almost fall into the trap of listening to his father's demands, even though he clearly can't stand Chaz, which who would be able to stand Chaz? Like even Blitz, Blitz fucked him, but even Blitz said it's like, this guy is terrible at sex. This dude's a blowhard. But yeah, it's like he stood up for Millie, and in the end, Crimson had to try and force him into the wedding, which luckily Millie was able to stop thanks to finding Blitz, who had been, you know, captured and tied up by, well, actually he wasn't tied up. He was just locked in Crim's trunk. Or not Crim's, Shark Boy's, Chaz's. Yeah, he was locked in Chaz's trunk after being drugged. But Moxie got him out, or Millie got him out, and they crashed the wedding, quite literally. And there was this wonderful scene of Millie just, like, killing all the guards and shit and to get to Moxie. And it's like, I think Moxie said it best in the Spring Broken episode. I love that woman. It's like, my God. She is just the best. She's my favorite character for a reason. Her undying love and the violent manners that she'll go to protect it is just, it's wonderful. Obviously, in real life, this would be a huge red flag, but it's a fictional show about hell. They're literal demons. Come on, let me enjoy this. Let me love Millie. I don't get all the hate that she gets. It's like, every time I see someone hating her on social media, it just pisses me off, and I can't deal with that. I can't even find the energy to fight with people or argue with people about it. It's just like, I'm just gonna ignore them, because if I put myself down that rabbit hole, I am not going to be able to crawl back out. I already had enough trouble with that with Yamato in One Piece and the social media fights I've gotten into over that, but I'm not letting that happen again with this. But yeah, we see how dedicated and loyal Moxie was, and I was actually worried for a bit that because he was going along with this, that Millie was going to find out, and they were going to have like some kind of issue arise, even if it was just temporary. But luckily, it didn't go down that route. Instead, it showed that she clearly could tell something was wrong, even though he wasn't being open with her about his issues with his father. She could tell something was wrong, and she stayed loyal to him, and he stayed loyal to her. And at the end, it just came down to, she's like, you tell me if something like this is an issue again. I understand. I'm here for you. And it's like, this is sweet. This is wholesome and sweet and loving. And Chaz got his comeuppance because he lied to Crimson about being loaded. And so Crimson had him killed. And we see that at the end. We see what became of him, of his remains. But it does obviously lead into Crimson showing hatred towards Moxie once again, and builds up another villain to eventually come back. Let's see, we've got Stella, we've got Crimson, we've got the Cherubs, we've got Verosica, we've got so many villains, Striker, another one, who have been built up, the agents of Dorks, so many villains who are very clearly being built up to return. And it's like, okay, you're doing this with pretty much every villain we come across. To me, this means that they're going to team up. It has to mean that, right? All of these villains that we keep seeing, every time they always end off with a grudge against Imp and everything, and it's always going into the route where it's like, every time it's like it leaves off on this cliffhanger of them like swearing revenge, basically. So it's like, okay, the only thing it can be leading to is an alliance between the villains. It has to be. We're going to have like some kind of big fight between the villains, and maybe we're going to have some allies of some sort. I don't know. But it's leading to something big, because there's no way they plan on bringing back these villains individually. They're setting up way too much. Trying to bring them back individually would be basically impossible to properly handle, because it just require too much. You can't just keep doing this with every single villain and expect to be able to bring them back in a satisfying way. You have to be able to tie it all together, and the only way to do that would be to make them somehow align. Maybe that could be brought together by Stella. Like, maybe she still has some level of wealth to be able to bring them together with. Something like that, maybe. Maybe something involving her brother, Andrelphus. I think that's his name. Something like that. But yeah, there's a lot being set up here. And a lot that I would love to see expanded on. But the biggest takeaway from this episode, for me at least, is Millie and Moxie, because if I'm being honest, their dynamic is better, in my opinion, in this show than, honestly, Blitz and Stolas's. I know that might be heresy to say for some people, but for me, they are the power couple of Helluva Boss. Blitz and Stolas are number 2, for sure. But Blitz and Stolas have a lot more issues that need to be worked out. They can't just, like, ignore it and move on like they tried to do this season. Those issues need to be worked out. Otherwise, their relationship can't last. At least not in any kind of healthy way. But I think that Millie and Moxie's relationship, by contrast, is extremely healthy and wholesome. And is kind of what we want to see from Blitz and Stolas. But again, there's so much that has to be worked out first. And I think one of the big things we have to tackle is Blitz's family, because that has been set up and everything. Blitz's family and his past in general has to be tackled before that can, be fixed. So hopefully that happens, and hopefully we get just more episodes of this season without as long of a break in between. I also want to say that I can add Moxie now to the animated cartoon characters who have officially said in their respective series the words, or at least shown it on screen. I'm bisexual. We can include him with the likes of Norma from Dead End Paranormal Park and Luce from Owl House, because he in this episode openly says to his father, "I'm bisexual," because his father, I guess, thinks he's gay. Yet, even after he introduces his wife to him, and it's like, what? um, but yeah, no, he's bisexual, and he directly says this in the episode, and it's like awesome. That's another thing I was hoping they would eventually touch on too, Moxie's bisexuality, because this is something we've known about, but hasn't been in the series, But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Like again, it's probably my favorite one. I'm gonna have to see it more times before I can say for sure, but I loved this episode. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of it? Let me know. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.